Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the iRacing official European Sprint Series. Today we are at the Circuit de l'Isarf in Le Mans, and joining me today I have wonderful Martin Pearson, and on cameras we have Isaac Barkley. How are we doing, boys?
I'm very well, thank you, Idra. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, boys. Can't wait for this. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic race. Me and Isaac did a 6-hour round here on Saturday evening, and just brilliant to drive the circuit. And another good day in Le Mans today, it looks like.
It does look very sunny out there, so hopefully the track is going to be at the perfect ambient temperature for the tyres not to wear too quickly. It does look like we have started into the quali session so far, and we are on board right now. Is it with Philip Kungen, who is in second position at this moment in time? He is just 0.4 off the pace from Hugo Valentin. So it's looking very, very close so far. Hopefully he can improve on his lap time coming down on the Mulsanne straight at this moment in time.
Yeah, so it looks like Valentin and Kungen have set their first laps, as most of the LMP1 field have. And on their second lap now, they'll be really hoping that they've got their banker in the bag, and now they're going full pelt for a second lap and see if they can stick it on pole. As we see Jokke Zhu in his Audi R18 geodesic, lovely livery there, coming out of the first chicane on the Mulsanne.
Yes, it looks like he is on for a very good lap. He hit the apexes there on the chicane very, very nicely. I think he was a little too naive to say that he didn't really hit the curbs as fast as he could have, but hitting the second one here, he is using the inside curb there very well to come out. He's managed to keep his speed above the 220 kilometers an hour, which is the perfect sweet spot in these LMP1 cars. It looks very, very good so far.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as he breaks down into Mulsanne and down to second gear, 100k minimum at the apex, and using boost on the way out, all the way down to Indianapolis. Be interesting to see how the top speed of these LMP1 cars compares to the Dallara P217 in LMP2. Because actually at the end of the straight they're very similar in top speed, which might cause the LMP1 cars a bit of trouble.
Definitely. I think we're going to see some really, really good racecraft from both LMP1 and P2 classes. They're going to be really jostling for position on the track, especially seeing some side-by-side action, especially going down into, obviously, Indianapolis right now and down the Mulsanne straight.
Now, if we can just stay on board here, as we run down through the Porsche curves, the speed is incredible that these LMP1 cars carry. You'll probably change down to fifth gear and absolutely floor it back on the throttle, keeps it in sixth, all the way flat through the left, double left of the Porsche curves, round through the right, lifts off a little bit more, now he's down to fifth gear, maybe down another one through karting, a little bit that wide of the apex there, but powers out again. Absolutely fantastic stuff with these LMP1 cars.
Oh, he's got fantastic car control here. He's using all of the track, really running it into the four chicanes now, and very, very well done from Jock there. He's really, really strong coming through the third sector there. There he is. He has put a third fastest position time there, and he's going to take it back to the pits, it seems. Let's see if we can get on board with somebody else now. Maybe try and get a P2 coming down here.
Yeah, that was a fantastic lap from Zhu, but he is 2.3 seconds off the lead, off the pole time at the moment. An absolutely astounding 309.2 set by Kungen that we were riding on board with earlier. Now we have Kurt De Backer, gone incredibly
who's
wide.
Went really wide coming through Porsche. Is that karting?
That's karting.
I remember, yeah, he's went through karting and he's coming into the chicanes now. Yeah, he's abandoned his lap, it seems, especially after going wide there. Looking back now, this is the results, I think. So we are sitting the LMP1 class. We have Philip Kungen in first. In second, we have Valentin Hemret. In third, we have Jock Sojo. In fourth, we have Thomas Saborin. In fifth, we have Neil De Backer. In sixth, we have Oliver, which I didn't get a chance to read. There we go, Oliver Brandt. In 7th, we have Julian Ricard. In 8th, we have Hugo Valentin. In 9th, we have Kurt Debecoeur. And in 10, we have Jim Debecoeur.
Looks like we've got maybe 3 brothers or cousins on the LMP1 field there. Good to see. The pole position of LMP2 is Daniel Kraft. Then we've got Thomas Mustonen alongside him. On the second row, we have Equivalent Motorsports' Marcus Sonholm alongside Mohamed Janko. Alessandro Frasinetti on row 3 alongside Samuel M. Shepherd. Row 4, Jim Bourne and Matt York. Then we have Team Vikings member Martin Tailgaard and Ivan T. Ferrari, classic Italian name there. Theo Schroeder and Christian Lepper. Jeremy Hopper, Hector Camacho, and on the final row of LMP2, Corne Borchers.
I'm just going to take a look now down into the GTE field. We've got Gabi Montoro setting the fastest lap out of the GTE cars, followed closely behind by Christian Bzek and Roman Verodulov, rounding out the second row of the grid. Then we've got Michael E. Gross and Blajan Prezanolso taking out the grid behind. Guame Egloff and Jeroen Valtella, and James J. Pinska and Thomas Vorkron round out the 34th cars on the grid.
That is looking fantastic so far. I think we've got all 34 cars in good position right here as they're going to work their way up towards the Ford chicanes, getting their tires nice and warm, and once they hit the Ford chicanes, they should be given the green light to go.
Yeah,
some really, really nice, colourful cars on the grid, don't we, guys?
Yeah, I'm really liking the Valentin Henrik's on the left-hand side there. The black and green is really nice. And then on the second row on the right-hand side with a geodesic car of Yoka Zhu. So, no, some fantastic cars. And a couple of iconic Audi liveries of days gone by. Looks like there's a couple of old R8 liveries there with the yellow and the red highlights on them. Fantastic to see.
Yes, it's going to be absolutely fantastic to watch this race, and I can't wait to see how the race is going to turn out for everybody coming up now. It does look like Philip Kungen is really going to be pushing as he's got the inside line coming in through the very first parts of the chicanes going into Dunlop. So it might be good to see if he has the jump on Valentin Hemret coming up there. He is trying to keep his position there. Obviously, he's got a little bit of a connection issue there, but that's okay.
Yeah, so it looks like the LMP1 field has gone into single file, which I think is very sensible for the start of, well, it's a sprint race in reality, but it's also a bit of an endurance race being an hour long. So it'll be interesting to see how they all boost out of the Ford chicanes and see if cold tyres cause them any issues into the first corner as they did with me on Saturday evening.
And here we go. They're now entering through the Ford chicanes now. And we are watching as the safety car is going to pull in. And there we go. The cars have been released. It will be lights out as soon as that car goes across the line. And here we are for the first time this evening. It is Philip Hungen who's going down. He is going to be taken very quickly there by Valentin Hemret on the inside line. Very, very smooth driving from him. And he is sliding. He's lost it and he's went into the gravel. Very, very quick to come off the power there. It did seem that it was a little too quick. But that is Philip Hungen actually holding on to his lead. So that's fantastic from him.
Yeah, as Neil de Backer goes into second place. He's had a good start, up 3 places already through Tete Rouge and onto the Mulsanne Straight for the first time.
Here we are. Yeah, we can actually see Philip Hungen. It's actually a 2.8 second gap there. He obviously managed to hold himself very well after that spin that went on, which is quite, which to be honest was quite a nasty spin to see on the second corner. But now watching the P2 field is Marcus Soljan is actually pulling ahead as well as the Team Acris driver is coming up to the first chicane now. Bit of movement at the back of the pack though. All LMP2s are really pushing. Here we go. A bit of an incident here. Is that between Marcus Soljan? Oh, and it did look like there was a bit of a spin there going through Dunlop. Just in front of Soljan. It was a very, very close one for him, but well dodged.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a good lead of probably a second and a half now, as he's hoping that he can break the toe of the cars behind. A group of 3 of them behind, all nose to tail. Matt York right at the back of that in the geodesic coloured car. Is he going to send it 3 wide? It'd be a bit silly on a first lap. Next chicane is left-hander.
Well, they're going to try it anyway. Here we go. It's very, very smooth driving from, is it Matt York there? Who's come through the inside in the geodesic car. He managed to hold his line. Very, very smooth. It wasn't necessarily a gain for him, but it's very, very difficult when you're in a position like that to give up position. And he knew that he may have a chance in the future to gain his position back. So very, very well done from him.
Yeah,
we're now on board now with Ivan T. Ferrari. He's
looks like he's
got a very, very smooth drive through there. Yeah, I mean, from his standpoint, he should really be pushing just a tiny bit more, but he is holding very well coming down towards past Indianapolis. Is that Indianapolis there?
Indianapolis.
I'm looking at
corners.
Yeah.
Fast kink right at the back of shot there, and then the much slower left third gear left-hander. So they go 2 wide.
And Nilapa has actually gone past him. Yeah, that was very, very smooth driving there from Nilapa. Very, very strong as well. He asserted his dominance there and basically told Ferrari to sit down going through there. But yeah, very close, very close. And we're now watching the GT field now. We're on board with Blitze Prison Show, who is very, very strong. And I butchered that name. Some very, very fantastic names in this grid today, and that is one of them. So it's good to see how he races.
Yeah, it looks like a bit of a Ferrari challenge field in GTE, unfortunately. We've got one Porsche, but that's kind of sitting in the pits at the moment of Romeo Egloff. But yeah, the rest of the Ferraris out on track, doing okay. Just as we saw, I think it was at Monza, so of course it is the home of Ferrari at Monza, and the home of speed indeed, showing itself at the Monza today. Nobody can take away Monza's position as being a temple of speed, especially when it comes to cars that are just built just for pure speed, like the Ferrari 488. Even just the Challenge Cup cars are just built to go really fast in straight lines. So it's amazing to see. We're now on board again. It was this Matt York in the geodesic car. Very, very close battle. You can actually see 2 wide coming into Dunlop there. Very, very smooth driving to hold that. I personally know that I wouldn't have been able to make that move. Very, very nice driving. Yeah, I think Matt might have a bit of a slowdown, unfortunately. He needs to serve because he cut a lot of the Dunlop S's there. And we'll see if Ferrari and Hopper behind him manage to get past him. Yes, they do, as he serves that slowdown penalty. But Ferrari's right on the back of Nalepa there.
Oh yeah, he'll be looking for revenge after that first lap. Second lap there, they were constantly fighting each other, jostling for position that whole time. Very, very smooth. He's going to have the inside line coming through the very first chicane, going a bit wide out there, but he still holds it, and he's actually gained time. Nalepa being a very reserved driver going through the first chicane, and not necessarily using all the speed through there, but he knows that he must have an edge when it comes to straight line. Bit of a battle going on between Jeremy Hope and Martino Felgard. Very, very strong drivers. Again, we saw them driving really, really strong earlier in Poland, so they're going to be pushing just a little bit more to hopefully gain some positions during the race here.
Yeah, I wonder if the middle of the LMP2 field, or if you're at the back of a small bunch, then maybe you can save a bit of fuel and make a shorter pit stop, and just over halfway. So we're expecting a 38-minute fuel stint from the LMP2 field, and if you can make that a little bit shorter than your rivals by sitting behind them, then saving a bit of fuel, then absolutely you should make a jump in the pits.
Definitely. Now we're back on board with the LMP1 field with Hugo Valentin. Very fast drive through here. Nice, smooth, taking the perfect racing lines through there. Very little you can really say there. Coming through karting. He's now going to come up to Haynes. Very close drive, not necessarily the closest we've seen in LMP1 in the seasons, but we've had a spin. And that was, that was Jock Show that has been shoved off the track before lap 3, and it's very much a shame for him. Really well. I'll get a replay on that.
I think that was a bit cheeky by Hemmer there.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have been there. He stuck his nose where it wasn't welcome. Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't think
had nothing to do with that. Bit of over exuberance at the end of lap 2, I think, by Hemmer.
Oh, and he's gone wide as well, so he might be in for a meeting with the stewards after that incident, but we'll keep you guys updated on seeing what happens, because it does seem that was not necessarily the nicest to pull off. We're now back in the LMP2 field, and we're following again with Ivan T. Ferrari, who is just trying to hold off the field. He seems to be losing position after position here. I don't know if he has damage.
I think he might have got to slow down through the full chicane. If you take a bit too much curb, then iRacing will enforce a slowdown. If you don't serve that slowdown, then it will give you a drive-through penalty. So the lesser of two evils, but obviously the ideal is to not get the slowdown in the first place. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's just one of those nasty beasts that are in any of these games right now. That you just have to be very, very cautious of how much curb you are taking. As much as you want to take the ideal line, sometimes you just got to give it a little bit wider. And if it involves you have to slow down a tiny bit, then do it, because it'll make you faster more.
Looks
on Daniel Kraft's car right now. Very, very fast down here, and I think he's having a bit of a connection issue there. I don't know what was going on with the car in front, but he was gaining when we were watching there.
There's a gaggle of a train of 5 cars and another one out to the left. This is fantastic stuff as they head down to the second chicane. Martin Telgaard's looking for a gap which isn't there at the moment. Coming into the braking area, they're 3 wide. Can they all make it through? Look, the cone goes for a draw. Telgaard gets hung out to dry on the outside, and the geodesic car of York goes up the inside, and we'll have the inside line to the next braking area into Mulsanne corner as they again form that 5-6 car train all the way down the Mulsanne straight. Fantastic racing.
Oh, definitely, especially when we all know how good it can be when you are in a train of cars like that to get the slipstream. In iRacing, it seems to be one of the most effective ways to gain positions, especially in Le Mans, is just to draft your opponent, even bum draft them if you have to, just so you can get that tiny bit more speed out of the car. Because we all know that the cars necessarily do reach their roof eventually, and you just need to get that aero to reduce just a tiny bit on the car, the pressure, just to need a tiny bit of relief. Very strong racing though from the LMP2 field. They're all very bunched up, and the LMP1s are seeming to be just a little bit more paired apart, as it does seem that Hundgen is actually taking the lead completely now, 7 seconds ahead, which is insane for just an LMP1 car, with both types being very, very strong cars, if you would agree with me on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. To hold a 7-second lead up to 3 laps is considerable, and very good driving there. As Ricard is under pressure from Brandt out of Tete Rouge, and they've also got Saborn behind them. Porsche versus Audi on the way down in the first chicane. Brandt pulls out on the right hand side. He's got a clear road ahead of him, but we know that there's a Porsche alongside. Looks like he's got the overspeed and might be in front. Yep, he does pull in front. Porsche behind Ricard pulls the bankers on earlier, and he'll be hoping to get the boost out of the corner. Much better, and blast past again on the way down the second chicane. Now, what we noticed, myself and Isaac noticed on Saturday evening when we were running the 6-hour endurance event, was that the Porsche can boost for much longer out of each of the corners and chicanes, so they do tend to, by the end of the each straight, they tend to make up a lot more ground than you think they would initially. as the Audi boosts very hard but very early and then runs out of that power.
Definitely, and I think as well that just shows you the developments in time that really makes a difference in motorsport, from the Audi being as a 2015 car and the 919 being a 2017, 2018, and even nowadays I think it's still running. Well, it was still running last year as well, which just again shows you that the development in technology can last you a good few years.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to see that the engineers took different concepts to the vehicles, and each of them are incredibly quick. You know, we have a Porsche at the front of the field, followed by 4 Audis, and then the mid packs dominated with these 2 Porsches again. So, no, brilliant to see.
It definitely shows you the difference it takes as well with practice in these cars. It's amazing to watch the amount of hours that these drivers put into the cars just so that they can get that extra tenth on their lap time and just a little bit more consistency, especially around Le Mans. As we all know, consistency on a long track like Le Mans is quite difficult.
Yeah,
we're back watching the LMP2 field. Yeah, I mean, when you watch the LMP2 field as well, you can all see, because they are all roughly in the same car, the Dallara, how close they are, and it just doesn't make a difference what your iRating is against these guys. If you can hold a slipstream and be very, very careful, you can definitely stay up there with the big boys.
Yeah, absolutely, and it doubly hammers you when you lose it. But no, absolutely.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
still got a train of 5 or 6 cars, maybe 7 cars even, off the back of there. And down in Indianapolis, fantastic groupings.
Just looking at the iRating of Philip Koongen, his iRating is 3,929, so he should be actually gaining quite a considerable chunk from this race. As I do believe the rest of the field is roughly quite high in comparison. I think there are about 4,000, even a couple of 5,000s in there. So I think it's very much his race to lose now, as he has now a 10-second gap. You might be able to have a look at the GT class right now, as we see Gabi Montoro in the lead right now, but he is seeming to be getting chased down. Watching James G. Pinsker coming through. Again, all these Ferrari cars just all using each other as slipstream machines right now. We all know how difficult it is to get a proper good slipstream in the GT class, but when you get one, really do manage to kick off some good speed. Going too wide down near the red Ferrari there. Oh, G. Pinsker is very, very strong. He is now sitting up into 2nd position. Very, very good driving from him to take the lead, take the 2nd position off of Roman Verdlevo.
Doesn't look like it's going to be an easy race for Pinsker at the front of that group at the moment, though. I would put money on that changing again and Verdlevo getting back past him as Gabi Montaro goes through the start of the Porsche curves. And just see
oh
the
yes,
amount of
definitely.
labouring and the weight transfer that these heavy GT cars have to go through.
I'm watching how much lean that he has going through there onto karting is insane as well. He's got a little bit of a slide on the back end. He has to correct it, and he's really having to push the car just a little bit more, just a little bit, just to kind of gain what he loses when his car slips. Now back at the LMP2 field, and it does seem that Jeremy Hopp is just trying to hold off a challenge there from Corin Birchers, and also in front of him is Martin Tellegard. Very, very strong racers as well. Watching them having a bit of a scrap at the start of the race, but it does seem like it has changed a bit. Nelipa now losing position to Ferrari, who has started to gain position again after having kind of rough start to the race. People would agree. Very, very rough start for him.
A bit glued to each other, I think. Ferrari and Nelipa. The LMP2 field seems to have bunched up into groups of 2 now, rather than 5 or 6 or 7 we saw a couple of laps ago. But the slipstream should keep all of these cars together as we ride on board with Nelipa. And Yeah, certainly using the slipstream well to stay with each other.
Definitely. I mean, you can see that Daniel Kraft and Matt York here also having a little bit of a scrap down at the end of the Mulsanne. Very, very close battle between them. They're pushing each other quite a lot there, but we're now again watching Samuel Shepherd have a bit of a push there with, I do believe that is Andrea Frasinetti. Yeah, I was going to say very, very close battle there. Again, Frasinetti just trying to gain just a little bit of time so that he can get in that slipstream a little bit better. Obviously, the closer you are to the car in front, the faster. The better the car is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Samuel M. Shepherd is part of the R&E team who participate in ISRC or ISREC, our endurance series. So putting on a good representation at the moment for our league. And if you do want to get involved with us, there is a link in the Discord link below in the description. So feel free to join us. We have 2 rounds left in the season. 6 hours of twin ring Motegi and 24 hours of this very circuit. So yeah, if you want to get involved, feel free.
Definitely, and you'll be hearing live commentary on the ISRC TV YouTube channel for all these races. It will be coming at you live, 24 hours and 8 hours. They're going to be live, so make sure to stay tuned. And if you want to catch up on these races, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel and definitely put your notification bell on and like the race if you are enjoying it so far. It would really, really mean a lot to us, so feel free to do that for us. Still on board now with Philip Koenigen, who's really, really pushing. He's going now lapping the GT cars. He's just having the race of his life right now. He's very close. It looked like it was going to be suicide bomb there for Koenigen, but at the end of the day, it was very dangerous anyway, going past GT cars through there, and he just did it. He knew that he could make a gap. He knows that his car is scary enough to make the GTs move out the way. So definitely it things. When you see a Porsche coming at you at that rate of knots, you do need it.
Yeah, I saw 335 kilometers an hour that Porsche was running on the way down to Indianapolis, and that's just incredible speed. And they were getting over 340 in the slipstream as he just as Neil de Bacour goes casually around the outside of a GTE car there, followed closely by Oliver Brandt in the background. I can't imagine driving a GT car and getting past like that. You must feel as if you're standing still.
Oh, definitely. It's a whole different world. Normally when I'm doing racing like this, I do tend to choose either the LMP2 or the GT car. I know personally that I'm not an LMP1 driver. I don't have the reactions for that. But when it comes to GT racing, the last thing I want is to be overtaken by an LMP1 on a tight bend. And they like to do it. They will admit to you that any time they can get past you, they'll do it. And yeah, they're chancers. And that's the great thing about being an LMP1 driver. You always have the best material to work with.
Yes, just as Isaac Buck, our own very own Isaac Buck.
Definitely. You just have to send it down the corners. Send it down Eau Rouge. That's what you got to do it.
I always like to think if a car leaves half a car width, you take it and you make it a car width. That's what I say when you're driving an LMP1.
Definitely, I would agree with you. And I think it's the same, especially when you're driving either a DPI or an LMP2 as well. They're just very, cars you don't want to be messing with, because one, you don't want to ruin their race, and two, it's just one of those cars that you don't want to mess with in the first place, because you know they're faster, and it doesn't necessarily have to be down to driver skill. We're on board now with Oliver Brandt, who is running in fourth position, but he is pushing for position on Neil de Bacour, who was also very held up actually going through karting. They were the two cars that were going through karting, and it does look like Oliver Brandt is on a bit of a push coming through there. Watching the replay of this overtake, it seems, and it looks like we have a car out, and it is Christian Pichek. He has lost it completely lost it going through there. It looks like he's just lost it under braking. That's a shame for him. I think he might be able to get back out on repairs, but I don't think he will be back in time to finish the race, which is a shame for him.
Yeah, I suspect he unfortunately lost it over the curb trying to accelerate as hard as he can out of the first chicane. So, yeah, unfortunate to see a driver out so early in the race.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's the cruel mistress of this type of racing. Is, you've got to have full 100% concentration at all times to the track conditions and also every little change in the track's kind of geometry. And he just obviously forgot that there was a little dip there.
Yeah, absolutely right, Andrew. And the fact that all of these cars are running their lowest downforce setting as well means that they are going to be a bit twitchier as they're trying to accelerate out of corners. And if you do ride the curb a bit hard, then unfortunately we've seen the result there for Petchek.
Well, definitely. It's one of those things that it's just going to happen, and you're going to have a few drivers that are going to lose it. And, it's not racing without retirements, I'm afraid, especially dramatic ones that may be involved two or three cars. We're watching on board now with Verdolivo, watching the car behind him, which is Tomas Goron, that is really trying to make up a bit of time that he lost through Indianapolis back there. He had a hard braking zone, it seemed, and he is really seeming to gain a bit of time here on very, very close racing here, and taking the curbs very hard. But he should have enough to be able to push into Dunlop if he wants. But it's going to be close enough as it is coming on to the Mulsanne Straight, it seems.
Yeah, I think the task through this part of the circuit has to be to stay within touch and then use the Mulsanne Straight and the run down to Indianapolis to make the move, and then try and hold on to it and break the toe, I guess, before you hit Tete Rouge again.
Definitely. I think when you come through Tete Rouge, you've got to be very careful of the car behind you, because if you've gained enough time off of any of the corners there, you're going to have him on your tail. You're going to have him holding on you, and there's nothing that you can do. It does look like he's just inside of the toe and no more there, but it's not going to be enough, I think, to be able to make a move going into the first chicane. Whether that Verdolivo actually makes a mistake coming through the first chicane or not is up to him. It does seem that Roman is just a little bit slower through that section, but now Thomas has now got a very, very strong toe. It's going to be down to the wire coming down here to the second chicane. Whether he has enough speed and enough momentum to put it round on the inside there, I don't know, but he will attempt it. He's gonna actually hold hard on the brakes there. I think he's maybe waiting for his chance to actually push there through on that end of the track. I wonder if he might have it sent down in Indianapolis, but that is Kurt de Bacour. What's happened to him? He's just lost it. It does seem that you just put a little bit speed going through that corner there. The good thing about the aero settings on that car is he just managed to slow it down enough to not send it into the barrier. So well done to him for holding that. Watching on board again, well, through the cameras at Thomas Goron, who is really pushing. He's not having this. He's not settling for position. He really wants that third place. Even though we do have another 35 minutes of the race to go, position is everything for him. And it's Kurt de Bacour again.
But he's gone wide, and he's tried to follow the other car.
Yeah, so it looks like he was just watching him on the braking and just wasn't paying attention to the track markers himself, which we all are guilty of at some point, but that he can't be doing that all the time.
Yeah, I think.
But that's Jock Stojo is now out of the race. It was an LMP driver, and he was the one that had the incident within the first few laps. getting spun out on the last corner in the Ford chicane. So, yes, it'd be a little bit interesting to see how he went out. But it's a shame for him because he was getting back up the field again, but it could be just a retirement. He knew he wasn't going to get any farther.
Yeah, as we see, Hemere is in the pits now. I wonder if he's had an incident, but it's a bit early from what we expected in terms of a fuel stint, but he will be able to get to the finish line from here. So, Hemere coming into the pits. There we are. It's just about managing to slow it down. And Philip.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Carry on, sorry.
So I was just going to say that Philip Cunningham set the fastest lap again on his last lap. So 3:11.12 is currently the LMP1 benchmark. As we say, Frasinetti go down the inside of Sam Shepard. Those guys battling still, as we'd expect through this race.
Oh yes, it's one of those things. You're watching Andrea Frasinetti here. He is very well holding his position, and I think that's one thing that a lot of the drivers are struggling to do right now is hold his position. Samuel Shepard has been gaining and very minimal when it comes to losing position. So he is pretty much being a dominant force. He is forcing the other drivers out of his way if he needs to. Again, watching this battle going through, and you're watching Andrea Frasinetti on his defense here, actually using all of the corner there to hold on the defense. It's definitely fascinating.
Yeah, it looked like Sam Shepard lost a bit of his front downforce through the final part of the Porsche curves there. He was missing the apex of that final right-hander, but that's what happens in these aero-dependent cars. But he'll get back on as long as he manages to stay within the slipstream out of Tete Rouge, then I'm sure by the time he gets down to Mulsanne, he'll be right back on the back of Frasinetti ahead of him. Oh
yeah, and we're actually watching now as Kurt de Becourt is in the pits, I do believe. I think he is getting a new fresh set of tyres after flat spotting twice there, coming off not Rouge, on the straight. So
as we have
just to see what Egloff's done here.
I think he has.
And it looks like he's retiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like he's had an issue. Well, that's a shame. It's now a Ferrari race.
Yeah.
And welcome to Ferrari Challenge. Welcome to Ferrari Challenge at Le Mans. Oh, that's great. It's not nice to see, and we've still got the battle between Sam Shepard and Andrea Frasinetti. Very, very strong, from both the drivers there. Watching coming through the first chicane, he's angled his car perfectly through there. It's just a shame that Frasinetti had a better line. Definitely, Sam could have definitely had a run coming out of there if he had a chance. Trying to break the toe here. Coming out in the second chicane of the lap. Watching in the rear of Andrea Frasinetti now. Not using as much curb as they could be, but they are definitely very smooth going through there, don't you think, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. That looks really nice. I mean, Frasinetti is 3.7k iRacing, and I think Sam Shepard was doing a decent job to stay in the draft and with him at a little under 3,000 iRating, as Daniel Kraft behind them trying to chase them down is 6.6k. So this group are doing a decent battle, doing well, and if they can stay together and use the draft of each other, then hopefully be able to stay ahead of York and Kraft and have a good iRating haul at the end of this.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think coming down now is Sam Shepard going round the outside. Is he going to make it stick? It does look like he is. He's going to cross right over and hold his position. Very, very smooth driving from him. He's been waiting to do that all lap. Now watching Ivan T. Ferrari again, having a battle. This time it isn't with Nelipa, who's actually lost quite a few positions now. Ferrari is holding his position quite well after having a little bit of a poorer start to the race. Janko is holding him off very well. Very, very well. smooth driving there from Ivan to not lose it through Indianapolis. Very, very careful driving from him. It's very easy to drop it under power there, especially when you're following a car. So he's managed to keep himself on there. We're back on board again with Philip Kungen, who is just leading this away. He's taking it away. He's a whole near enough half a second ahead when it comes on lap times as well from the car in second and all the other cars in that matter. So he is holding very good lap times. 311s, 311 mids, 311 highs is where he's sitting for pretty much every lap. He's a very consistent driver.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job, and I was a bit surprised that he didn't poke the nose in there through karting on that LMP2 car, but he has a severe pace advantage over the rest of the LMP1 field, so he's got a 15-second gap already, so no need to risk anything at this stage, just over halfway gone into this hour-long race.
Yes, and I think it's one of those things, he's holding himself very strong there, and I think we're watching the very first of the LMP2 pit stops here at Le Mans. They're all seeming to bunch up. It's going to be a case of who gets out first. Does look like we've had a little bit of a pace change there, but yeah. Christian Nellipa and Marcus Soho and all that have actually decided to stay out. They have decided to stay out ahead of the field instead of going back in for some fresh tyres. But that could be because they did get fresh tyres earlier on in the race. But that I don't remember seeing it. So they could be just doing it on a gamble here and hoping that their tyre and the rubber is holding.
Yeah, I wouldn't be expecting anybody in this race to be taking tyres unless it got very, very hot. These guys will be able to manage to make the tyres last another stop, another 30 minutes until the end of the race. Just a fuel stop and go. That's where the slipstream effect comes into comes to fruition, really, and a shorter stop for Simon Shepherd, and managed to get him a couple of places. 3 places out of the pits I see on my screen.
Definitely, it was a very, very smooth pit stop from him. We're watching De Bacour again. Wonder what he's done there. He's lost it again.
Oh dear.
He has smashed the whole front end of his car there. He has lost all his front downforce. He might be able to get back to the pits, but I don't know if he'll be able to finish the race on that. He's had a really, really nasty crash. You can see the whole front is just lost all his front. So that's going to be quite a nasty repair.
Yeah, and rear wing damage there as well. It looked like he decided to launch himself over the curb at the first part of Indianapolis, so didn't pay off very well, as Julian Ricard is leading Neil de Backer in this battle on screen now. Some classic LMP1 liveries on the way down to
definitely some fantastic heritage from both the cars there, being very, very strong LMP1 cars of past generations, very, very fast cars. We're now watching still on Neil de Bacour, who is really holding the position over the Porsche right now. Julian Ricard losing time actually coming through that section of the track.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the Porsche can boost a bit more out of there. But that's Gabby Montoro, and he was our leader in GTE.
The GTE leader has crashed, yeah. And he's having a rough one, it seems. It's a shame there. I think he pulled onto the grass just a little too much. He might have been trying to do a little bit of a strat to cool his tyres down, because we do know how hot the tyres do get on those GTE cars after a good few laps on them. Julian Pinsker now, who is really pushing Gabby now after having that nasty crash. Saw him drag the car along the barrier, along the Armco. So that's not necessarily the nicest thing to see, but we are seeing Pinsker gaining time on him. Obviously, some aero damage through there. So Philip Kungen now in for a fuel stop. It seems very fast out, smashing into the back of the Porsche safety car, but luckily enough, it's not even an entity in the game anymore. So he didn't take it with him.
Yeah, as Pinkster has now got closing in quite rapidly on Montoro. If he doesn't get into Mulsanne corner, you're probably going to get him on the way out, I think, on the run down to Indianapolis and through Arnage. He was a second behind at the start of the Mulsanne straight, but now he's right behind him. So that damage that Montoro has is going to... It's already showing effect of slowing him down quite a lot. So
you can also see the amount of movement. Yeah, you can actually see like the amount of movement that guy's having to do to hold the car. Montoro is just... I think he has got a little bit of a steering wheel issue from him hitting the barrier, as he's trying to actually hold that thing in a straight line, which is just a massive shame for him because he was really doing very well through that whole race. James J. Pinsker is now leading the GTE class here at Le Mans. Very, very strong race from him. It would be a shame to say that he was pushing Gabby throughout the whole race, but at one point Gabby was pretty much running away with it, so it would be safe to say that only an accident really has put him in the lead, but still very, very strong driving from him. We're now watching Ivan T. Ferrari, who we've been following most of the race with in the LMP2 class because he's had a fair good race going on. You have the Audi LMP1 car going past him now. Nice smooth driving there. He's holding off Telegaard's attack there, coming through onto the second chicane. So very, very smooth driving from him. Be nice to see what happens at the end of the Mulsanne straight, whether Telegaard will have enough to be able to push. This is Jim de Bacour, so he has decided to take to the gravel and obviously take the slowdown. He just completely missed his braking.
Yeah, I think
That's a
looks
shame
like
for
he
him.
decided to take the historic version of Le Mans without the chicanes pre-1989, I believe, but it didn't do him any good as he's run off at Mulsanne corner and through the gravel, and fortunately out the other side. But he'll carry on his way, and hopefully he doesn't take anybody out at this rate, any innocent parties. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that would be very much a shame if he was to take one of the innocent drivers out. But in some instances, actually, the three de Bacour drivers haven't really been in any contention. Actually, in this, we thought that we'd maybe see a bit more of a split with them, but both Kurt and Jim having a little bit of trouble when it came to judging their braking points on Mulsanne straight. So it's very unfortunate from them, and hopefully they can try and see if they can gain a couple of positions back up the field again in the L class. But right now we see Kurt de Bacour in 8th and Jim de Bacour in 5th. So very, very disappointing drive for them so far. But we're going to look at Martin Telegaard, who was having a nice little scrap there through when I was talking. Gabi Montoro as well pushing. We do go back to Martin Telegaard, who is running in what we considered the 70th slot on the grid. He's holding off Ferrari, who is pacing a challenge on him here, going for chicane. Very nice driving to hold it on there, using all of the AstroTurf coming out onto the start-finish straight, going into Dunlop now. See if Ivan hold back. It does look like Ivan is trying to hold back a little bit, just in case of a net coat. But now watching Hamad Janko
went straight past Nalepa there. Don't know what Nalepa might have had a problem, but he's carried on through the full chicanes, it seems, as we get back to Telegaard and Ferrari right behind him. Ferrari has been, as you say, putting him under quite a bit of pressure past the start-finish straight, but that's opened up through the Dunlop S's and Forest S's, and out of Tete Rouge, he'll be catching, Ferrari will, he'll be catching Telegaard, but maybe at the end of the straight rather than through the chicanes.
Yes, definitely. I would agree with you there. That I don't think it's going to go in the favour of Ferrari going into the first chicane. But we're watching Neil de Bacour now, who is slotting in nicely behind what would seem to be Julian
Ricard for
Ricard, who has
6th and 7th.
Yeah, 6th and 7th. Julian Ricard is still actually pushing quite hard, even though he is down in the pack of race. But that would be Kurt de Bacour actually now being lapped, and the same with Jim de Bacour. Both of those LMP1 cars have been lapped, which is a shame. But Neil de Bacour actually trying to unlap himself here. I'm not too sure if this is just... this is Neil de Bacour's actually going down, yeah. Yeah, it does actually look like that.
It's Kurt and Jim, but Neil's in this battle with Julian. That's on the run down to Indianapolis. Fantastic battle these guys seem to be having, swapping places multiple times a lap as their different boost strategies play out and the strengths and weaknesses of each car come to form a fantastic battle.
Definitely. You can see a little bit of damage actually on the side of Ricard's car. So whether that was during the start of the race or if that was during one of the previous battles, he might actually have a bit of damage, and that's why Julian Ricard is now sitting in 7th position. Just watching now, we are going back to the GT field, who are now taking some fuel on board. I'm not sure if they would have taken any tyres, but it would be highly likely to see if they would take some.
Berdolivo and Gavron in the pit lane, and they stopped a lap earlier than Pinsker and Montoro, so it'd be interesting to see. They stopped a lap later, my fault.
Yeah, so it does actually show that Pinsker and Gabby are still fighting for that first position in the GTE class. You can actually see now that James is pushing just a little bit more to try and get ahead of Montoro so that he can break the slipstream going through Tete Rouge and going onto the Mulsanne straight now.
Yeah, it'd be interesting
to see what happened here. Whoa. Yeah, very, very strong drive here from both drivers, but obviously we do know what happened with Gabby at the about lap 11. It seemed that went on the grass and just lost what considered to be all the downforce, went straight into the barrier. So he is running with a little bit of aero damage to the car, but he is doing very well to hold it roughly at the same speed as James Pinsker going through there. Flashing the lights there, I do believe. He isn't an LMP car, but unless he's trying to make a statement, I don't know.
Maybe he's practicing for the call up to the main Ferrari Le Mans hypercar team in 2023, practicing his headlight flashing there, as de Bacour and Ricard are still attached to each other as they take the left-hand lane down Mulsanne, and this looks like a right ding-dong battle.
Definitely, it's a very, very close battle here for 7th position, as Julian Ricard has now actually got the inside line in the Porsche, jostling for position with that Audi e-tron all the time, and it does seem now that all three de Bacour drivers are now third, second and first last, which is a fortunate thing for them to have to their name. Neil de Bacour still actually pushing though to try and see if he can get that position back off of Ricard. Going to be pushing up onto Indianapolis now. See if he's going to have anything. I doubt he'll have a challenge here. It's just going to be a case of who can break latest.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect a move here, but we've got a relatively slow-moving Audi R18 there, and Ricard has just gone past, and this is all getting very tight with 5 cars within 4
Oliver
seconds.
Brandt's car. And it's Oliver Brandt's car that was sitting a little bit in the way there, it seems, who are now sitting in 6th position. So Oliver Brandt might have actually had an issue, as now Oliver is now behind Julian Ricard, who done very well to gain off of Indy.
Yeah, I think he might have a bit of damage on his left front there, Andrew. I'm trying to make it out on
I
the
can't
TV
make
pictures.
out, unfortunately. I'm going to maybe see if I can
the
have a
dark
look
colour
on...
is putting my eyes off a bit, but...
I do believe that you may be right. It does look like there's a slight bit of damage to the... It Doesn't look like it's serious. Yes.
Ah, there we
Neil
are.
de
Indeed.
Becoeur, yeah.
Fantastic pictures we can get as a result of being sim racers. Otherwise, that drone is going incredibly quickly. But yeah,
Yes.
that will be the cause of him slowing down. As
We now see
Valentin
Hugo
goes off from
Valentin.
second place.
That's a massive, costly mistake from him. Now he was looking to try and keep that position, it seemed, but he's now dragging all that sand onto the track. So it'll be interesting to see how the cars handle that. Oliver Brandt still running in 6th position now after having an excellent battle with the guys up in the lower leagues there. Julian Ricard was the main driver that gained out of that, but we're going back to Kurt de Becoeur down at the bottom of the Mulsanne straight again. I wonder if he does lose it. Oh, sorry, it's not the bottom, and he drops it under power on the first chicane. It looked from my point of view there that was the end of Mulsanne, so...
Yeah, I think he carried a little bit too much speed in there. But got away with it without, I don't think, any damage on there. And he'll carry on. Experience gathering, I think we could probably put today's race down to for Kurt de Becoeur.
Definitely, especially when it comes to these LMP, because we all know how twitchy they can be, especially coming through a load corner like that, where you can put a tiny bit of power on, but at the moment that you put a little too much, you lose it. And unfortunately, he took the latter there. Oliver Brandt, very, very good on his lines through the second chicane there, but he is now running down in 7th position as de Becoeur takes it back through onto the final Mulsanne straight. Very good to see that Neil de Becoeur is still in racing contention. We're now watching back on board with Ferrari, who's been just having a fantastic race in terms of gaining and losing positions, after having a really, really poor start in comparison to his other compatriot drivers.
Yeah, he's certainly been in the thick of it throughout, now battling with Jim Bourne on the way down to the second chicane. Doesn't look like Bourne's going to yield. They both turn in, just about give enough turn space. I think Ferrari had to take some avoiding action if he didn't get tapped at least. And
does look like that Ferrari's got a tiny bit of damage now to the bottom side pod of his car on the left-hand side after tapping Jim going into the second chicane there, but it was a very light touch, so I can't see it being too much damage, as he's actually making a second challenge on Jim, coming off the end of Mulsanne straight down towards Indy now. But I think we can actually be safe to say that he has lost a little bit of aero coming
lost a bit of
into
aero,
there.
but if Bourne feels under pressure and he's certainly closing in, he's forced him to the
He's
outside
going to take the
line.
outside line. Be interesting to see who comes out on top now, but Ferrari is taking that position off of him. I think Jim basically said, you know what, you're going faster than me, I'm going to just let you take this because I don't want to have another accident with you, which is
absolutely.
very much the best way to view it through that position. So
oh no, and we go back to Kurt de Becoeur. He's now into the Dunlop S's. What's going to happen this time round as he
it looks like he just loses it a tiny bit under braking. Yes.
Too much
It's
speed
a little
again.
too much power. Yeah, which is a shame.
The brakes in the Audi are a little bit tricky. They most cars you can modulate and you can bring it back from a slight lockup, but in that car you just have to completely get off the braking and then reapply. So yeah, again, we'll put it down to a learning experience today, I think.
Definitely, especially when it comes to things like this. It's definitely, you've got your professionals that do take part in these events, but it's mostly your guys that are amateurs just looking for a bit of fun on their Monday nights. So definitely one of those leagues that you'd think is not necessarily for your serious sim racer if they're really looking to be competitive. So it's nice to see the drivers being competitive though, to give us a good race and to give you guys a good race too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Ferrari's he's got the Ford chicane absolutely nailed as he's dropped Jim Bourne by over a second through there and past the start-finish straight. See if Ferrari can navigate the Ferrari ahead of him on track before Tete Rouge. safely. Hopefully it doesn't
Wonder
slow
if he's
him
had
down.
words with Enzo.
Yes,
He's
maybe.
had words
Or
with
Dino.
Enzo, and he told. Yeah, he just said, "You're gonna have to use the cars just for a second.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you. I'm bringing the Ferrari name home."
Yeah, it must be one of those names that you can't go anywhere around the world and not have somebody say something.
It'd be quite sad if he was a Mercedes fan and his second name was.
Absolutely.
But coming down again, we're now watching Marcus Olsen. We haven't seen him for a little while, but he is a Team Acris driver who is doing very well to actually hold position right now.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job in the lead. We haven't seen much of him because he's been relatively boring compared to the cars behind him. He's still got that one light illuminated on the side of his car as he goes through Mulsanne corner, holding a 12-second lead over Frisonetti behind him. So he's done very well to get that to that stage and hold it there.
He's
I would
actually
admit there's about 2.5 laps to go now of the time, so...
Oh dear.
Sorry,
Gross
carry on. And we've actually
had
watched
a gross
Michael Groves
accident.
just lose it. Yes, it does seem that way.
Isaac, what were you going to say there?
because actually Marcus, we saw the pole sitter of Daniel Kraft spinning on the exit of the Dunlop chicane, and that was which then gifted Marcus the lead. And since then, Marcus hasn't had another car within 2 seconds of him this entire race. So since turn 2 in this race, he's been able to pull away, now leading to this 15-second gap, which is awfully impressive and fairly lucky from my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's
Definitely, I think he's had a
Kraft
good...
was the car that we saw off on the circuit after the Dunlop Bridge then. Thank you.
Yeah, that was good to know what actually was. But now we're watching on board with Jim Bourne, who's having a fair scrap again with Ferrari, who is just holding him just a little bit farther back than what Jim would really like. I think Jim is looking to get past him here again, whether it was silly mistakes on his part or not. But we're on board again. Matt York, Samuel Shepherd. We've got the free battle again between Telegard, York, and Shepherd. They've been battling this whole race. None of them have really let up much. We've got about 6 minutes left of this race now, and they are going to be pushing very hard here. Going to be leading up into the Ford chicane to start finish straight.
Yeah, so probably another 3 laps I think they'll squeeze. Because Sohan was already across the start-finish line. They should get another 3 laps in and 18 laps for the race for the LMP2 field. As Kraft
And Daniel Kraft locks up a little bit there.
Kraft
It wasn't Daniel
I
Kraft.
believe.
It was that was Frazanetti. He lost it a little bit going through there, and yep, you can see that, and that's Kraft taking position over Frazanetti. But again, those two drivers also been scrapping very much throughout the races. LMP2 field is very close. This whole race. Be nice to see where the GTE class is sitting at this moment in time to see what we're getting at. We're actually watching Valentini Henrit, who was actually doing really well at the start of the race, but had a little bit of an off at the Dunlop chicane. So he has unfortunately lost a little bit of time to that. Whether consistency has played a big role in him being a little bit further down now, I don't know, but Julian Ricard now running in 4th position from being all the way down in 7th at one point during the middle of the race. So he's definitely done a very, very good recovery drive from him. Neil de Bacour actually overtaking Valentin Hemrit as well. So I wonder if Valentin Hemrit is actually running with a tiny bit aero loss.
Yeah, it looks as if his rear wing is a bit bent as Jim Bourne is pushing a bit too hard, trying to catch Ivan T. Ferrari, and goes off at the first part of the Ford chicane. That's a real shame to see. I was hoping that he'd be able to stick with Ferrari through the Ford chicane. Let's look at the rejoin. Yeah, that's nicely done, to be honest. Very gentlemanly rejoin.
I think
there,
he knew
there's another
where
car off in the background. So Corne Borchers has had an accident as a result of watching Jim Bourne go off. So that's unfortunate, a bit amateurish, you could say. But we've all been there, we've all done it.
Yeah, we definitely have, especially at that part of the track. It's so technical, especially when you just want to get to that finish line. And sometimes you just lose sight of your apex and just lose it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and immediately after a mistake, Bourne's under pressure from Hopper behind him, and Trio Schroeder not too far back from him as well. So it'd be interesting to see how these three have a bit of a scrap in the last couple of laps.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Jeremy Hopper, we haven't really seen much this race, but we've definitely seen Jim Bourne and Nalipa a lot throughout the race, especially Nalipa at the start fighting with Ferrari. So it's very, very strong to see now that Jim Bourne, obviously after having that incident, whether Jeremy Hop can make something of this and gain another place.
Just looking there at the third car back in that grid, that is the sister Equiva car, which is the same team which Marcus is running in. Not having a brilliant race. He didn't set a time in qualifying, meaning that he started in 15th out of 15 in the LMP2 class, and he's only gained up one position so far, which is to a crashed car earlier on in the race. So this actually is his first on-track battle since the start of the race as well. So two completely contrasting races for the Equiva team.
Yeah, so it may be interesting that the Team Equiva guys have maybe put an experienced guy in and more of a newbie guy into the racing, just to get them more experience maybe for the ISRC league later on in the year. So it'd be nice to see if they are both taking part in the 24 hours the ISRC are running. If you want to take part in this yourself, the link down below, you can join the Discord tab, and feel free within the Discord to join our Twitter to get updates from every racing bit of action that we cover in the ISRC TV channel. And if you would like to follow a little bit more of the action on the YouTube side of things, feel free to subscribe and definitely hit that notification bell to see when we are going to be live again. So watching there is it's Theo Schroederer, who was sitting at the back of Jeremy Hop and Jim Bourne battle on the last lap there. It does seem that he is a little bit farther back. It is maybe safe to say that he's not had necessarily the most eventful race himself. He's maybe just been consistent, which is a good thing to see. But he is about 9 seconds ahead of Orchards, who again is a Team Equiva driver from behind. If I am correct there, am I right? He actually looks like he's
in the Ferrari. No, that was not another Equiva car. Equiva have only got two cars entered this race, Marcus and Schroeder.
Yeah.
An interesting livery on Thomas Mastinen at Dallara LMP2 we see there. It's a bit of a throwback to the 911 GT1 of the Porsche in the end of the 90s. Not what I would have picked myself for the interesting shape of the Dallara, but good to see a bit of another throwback even in a different category.
Personally, myself, I think if you choose any of the kind of current Dallara liveries that are from the 2017 upwards, you're going to find a good livery somewhere. There's obviously the Team Netherlands Jumbo livery, the bright yellow one they ran in 2017 before they changed to Orica in the 2019-2020 season. But you can definitely tell that he has just tried to go for a bit of a fullback livery there. It's absolutely fantastic to see that people are paying homage to what a fantastic era was Le Mans. Going up the field again, we're watching Philip Koenen, who's just had a fantastic race from the very, very strong 31 seconds ahead of second place and nearly 50. He's over 50 seconds ahead of third, Thomas Saborn. Again, another driver that we haven't seen much of this race, but he has managed to make very good plays. Just looking at the third position now, it's Verdolivo, Roman Verdolivo in the Ferrari. They're just fighting for position in third place as Thomas Golron, Gabi Montoro, who we know has aero damage, is holding a good fight against him, but I don't know if Gabi can hold him off, as we have seen Verdolivo send it down very well, very confident driver in that Ferrari, so it'll be interesting to see what actually happens here, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can just see in the background there our overall leader in LMP1, Philip Koenen, just coming out of Arnage. So I think these guys might get another lap at this scrap. as Vedolivo trying it around the
He's
outside.
trying to go on the outside.
Thought better
He nearly
of it
made it
through
stick
there.
there. But it
yeah,
does seem that Gabi Montoro's placement of that Ferrari, that black Ferrari, is very, very good. I think he knows where he needs to sit on the track to be able to defend positions. He maybe been in this position before. As we watch, Philip Kungen is going to come down and just going to take it off of him. And it does look like that is a fantastic move from Verdolivo. He's not going to make it stick this time. And unfortunately just lost all his downforce there.
And that means that Montoro holds on to second place. So as Cronin done an incredibly good job at the front of our LMP1 field, he worked in the favour of Montoro there to end the race.
Definitely.
For the GTE field from second onwards.
That was absolutely fantastic racing. If you would agree with me, it was an awesome drive from all drivers. Obviously, a few offs to be expected, and a few retirements, unfortunately. But we definitely have seen some great driving, especially from your newer drivers today, and some drivers just about to finish their lap as well.
Yeah, as we see
Samuel Shepherd
right up behind Matt York on the final lap. RNE LMP team versus Geodesic through the second chicane. This will be a bunch of last gas opportunities for Shepherd, and probably some potentially some devious and decisive defending from Matt York ahead of him. I think if Shepherd manages to get a good run out of Mulsanne, then he'll be open for the inside line through Indianapolis, and that'll be it for him. That'll be what he's planning. See if he can get the power down out of here from his Gibson V8 sat behind him, but it's the same power plant in Matt York's Delara as well.
Look very, very similar drivers here. Same driving style. As you see them very tight through the corners. Very, very close racing. I don't know if I've seen much close racing like this in any other league. But he's going to try and send it down the outside of Indy, and he does. And he's going to make it stick. He does as well. Fantastic placement there from Samuel Shepherd. Very, very good driving from drivers as well to hold it through Indy at that kind of speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do actually see Frazanetti ahead. Yes, and we've got Frazanetti sitting in fourth place, just ahead. Unless Frazanetti makes a mistake, unfortunately, Samuel Shepherd, I don't think will be able to catch Frazanetti after Frazanetti having a very, very strong race as well, being able to keep his consistent times throughout. We do have Matt York. Matt York is still trying to make a play there, but unfortunately backs out as he nearly hit the back of Shepherd through course curves and into the karting corner, and then into chicane. What would be their final lap of the race?
Yeah, so final few corners here, making sure that Sam Shepherd doesn't make any mistakes and has a clean run to the line, finishing not too far behind Preston.
Oh, and he nearly takes it off the track.
That was
but he manages to hold on. Very good racing there from Samuel Shepherd. His car placement was absolutely stellar. As we're now watching Martin Tellegard and Ferrari and all that come over the line. It's just Corin Borchers, Hector Comacho, and we're now watching the GT field as James G. Pinsker is on his last lap as well. Gabi Montoro, a good 8 seconds behind him, and Roman Verdolivo only 0.2 off of Montero at this point in time. But James G. Pinsker,
I think he's slowing down. I think he's running out of fuel,
yes,
perhaps. But it's pretty much a lap of honour for him as the remainder of the class has taken the checkered flag behind him. So quite lucky, I think, for Pinkster that nobody was on the same lap as him. Sounds very quiet, doing a few customary weaves.
It does seem that he has completely run out of fuel. He obviously he was just a little too fast over that line when the flag dropped approximately 5 minutes ago, and unfortunately he had to do another lap. But there he is, stopping there. He'll be taking the first grid spot on the podium in his beautiful coloured Ferrari. We're just watching James G. Pinsker taking the line there in that beautiful red, white, and green Ferrari. And we're watching down the grid order. We do have Philip Koongen. We do have in first place, we have Valentin in second. In third, we have Saborkin. In fourth, we have Julian Ricard. In fifth, we have Neil Dubakur. In sixth, we have Valentin Hemrit. In seventh, we have Oliver Brandt. In eighth, we have Jim Dubakur. And in ninth, we have Kurt Dubakur. And unfortunately, in 10th, we have Jock Sodro, who unfortunately had to retire from the race.
As we move on to the LMP2 field results, and Marcus Solmholm of Equiva Motorsports had a fantastic run to the finish, or from the first lap, or the second corner of the first lap, had a great run to the finish there, finishing 15 seconds ahead of Daniel Kraft, who was a further 5 seconds ahead of Mustonen in the 911 throwback livery. Frazinetti, 26 seconds off Solholm in fourth place. Matt York in the geodesic car, 27 seconds behind in fifth. Thielgaard and Ferrari were separated by just over a second in the end, as Ferrari had a bunch of fantastic scraps up and down the field as he made his way through it. Janko was one of Ferrari's victims, as it were, sitting in 8th position in the end. Nalepa in 9th. Jim Bourne rounding out the top 10 after his incident at the final chicane, or the Ford chicane coming onto the pit straight. Theo Schroeder for Equiva finishing in 11th, managing a couple of spots right at the end there. Minute and 10 down. Jeremy Hopper and Sam Shepard finishing in 12th and 13th. Now, a lap down, we had Corne Butchers and Hector Camacho rounding out the 15 LMP2 runners today.
Excellent. We're on to the GT class.
Yeah. Now, if we go down to the GT class, we've got James J. Pinsker taking the win. He didn't set a time in qualifying, therefore starting at the back of the grid, though able to make his way back through the early stages of the race, and then passing our second place finisher of Gabriel Montoro after he had an off in the very corner that we're looking at now, just on the run into Tete Rouge. Vervedilo finishing in third place. You saw a close battle at the end there between him and the second place guy. Thomas Gravron then finishing in fourth, with Blaise Trasvenoso, finishing in fifth place. Geron Vatella for Simwell GT Racing finishing in sixth. And Michael E. Grass, after having an off in the final minutes of the race there, finishing in seventh. Gormali Egloff in the only Porsche that we saw in the race and retiring early on, finishing in eighth. And who we didn't see take the start of the race, Christian Pezjacek, finishing in ninth and last overall.
So that's rounding out all our finishers and unfortunate retirees of today's race. Just a quick bit of housekeeping for anybody who's watching. If you would like to follow more of this action, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is ISRC TV. Make sure you've got that notification bell on. And if you would like to join in on the action at the next ISRC League race, feel free to join the Discord on your screen now. That'll be up for the next little while, so you can get into the action. If you would like to follow us on Twitter as well, we are the Intercontinental Sim Gaming League, so you can definitely see us there. So definitely, if you haven't already, follow our Twitter as you're seeing official ISRC.
And just a little word about what we do as an organization. We are the Intercontinental Sim Racing Challenge. We mainly run an endurance league and a recently started Porsche Cup Challenge. So if anybody's out there and is looking for LMP1, LMP2 and GTE racing, or Porsche Cup Sprint Series, in our endurance series, we've only got 2 rounds left, with the next round being next weekend, the 6 hours of Twin Ring Montpellier. If anybody's interested in joining that, we do have some spaces available, 1 P2, 1 LMP1 and a handful of GTEs if anybody's interested. So coming into the final closing stages of our championship. We also have got a 24 hours of Le Mans in early April. If anybody's interested in competing in that, we'll be having a lot of invitational one-off event entries into that race. So we hope to see you there if that's something that would interest you. And we also have just recently started, as of last week, a Porsche Cup Series, 2 20-minute races at a selection of tracks from all around the globe. Be there, be square. I'll see you for some great, awesome fun. If you want to check out more information, our link is on screen there for our Discord and also in the description below.
Excellent. Now, just to round off the night, fantastic racing there. I think we would all agree from all drivers on the grid, and congratulations to all of our podium sitters. It would be awesome to see you guys all racing again. Definitely make sure that you are on the next racing series. So I think it's fair to say that we should round off, guys.
I think so.
Okay.
So
Now,
yeah,
guys, thank you very much for watching today's 1 hour sprint race of Le Mans. Again, as we said, if you would like to see, definitely subscribe to the channel, put your notifications on, and we hope to see you guys next time. Just watching the Team Quiver car take the gravel. It's fantastic. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon.